Welcome to this explainer. Imagine, for a second, that you're at the helm of a massive, incredibly complex operation. We're talking about highly interconnected projects with hundreds of moving parts, right? Thousands of people and just vast amounts of resources are relying entirely on your guidance. It's intense. This isn't just about managing a single, standalone project to the finish line. It's about engineering the very architecture of systemic resilience. So today, we're diving into the fascinating, incredibly high-stakes world of risk management. It's a discipline that really requires this unique blend of foresight, strategy, and honestly, a whole lot of nerve.
So what actually happens when the global supply chain just snaps? Imagine a critical semiconductor gets stuck at a port halfway across the world because of some unforeseen disruption. Boom! Assembly lines instantly freeze. Strict deadlines just vanish into thin air. In a matter of days, or sometimes even hours, a single, seemingly distant disruption cascades through your entire network. It threatens millions of dollars and paralyzes your interconnected operations. I mean, it is absolute chaos. This nightmare scenario is exactly why program managers simply cannot afford to just react to problems as they happen. You absolutely must anticipate them.
Now, the stark contrast we need to look at here is between isolated and systemic risks. An isolated risk is really just a bump in the road. Say a single delayed shipment. You find a quick workaround, you patch it up, and you keep moving. But in large-scale programs, risks are almost never isolated. They're systemic. That single delayed shipment doesn't just delay one tiny task, it causes the entire program to stall out. Because these projects are so deeply interconnected, a failure in one specific area can trigger a devastating collapse everywhere else. It's like a giant line of dominoes. And this interconnected reality demands a completely different approach: holistic analysis.
Section 1. The Risk Management Toolkit. Your weapons of analytical rigor.
To prevent the kind of systemic collapse we were just talking about, you need way more than just good instincts or a gut feeling. You need concrete, tested frameworks. Enter the risk register. Now actually, scratch that. Do not mistake this for just some simple spreadsheet that you begrudgingly update once a month. It's a highly dynamic, foundational framework. Its entire purpose is to help you relentlessly identify, assess, and track potential threats across all of your interconnected projects simultaneously. It forces you to look over the horizon, anticipating uncertainty way before it ever strikes. It really is the essential first step in making the unknown known.
And this brilliantly illustrates how we handle all that data, the probability impact matrix. Look, you simply can't treat every single risk equally, or you're going to bleed your resources dry. By mapping the sheer likelihood of an event against its overall severity, you instantly triage threats. You're separating the minor annoyances from the severe existential crises. This matrix tells you exactly where to weaponize your proactive planning. But you know what happens when a high-impact, high-probability threat suddenly becomes a reality? Well, you trigger escalation protocols. These are predefined pathways for elevating severe risks right up the chain of command. In a live crisis, you literally do not have the luxury of time to figure out who needs to know what. Escalation protocols empower program managers to communicate vital threats without a single second of hesitation, ensuring rapid decision-making under intense, immense pressure.
Section 2. Navigating the turbulence, making decisions under pressure.
Okay, this is the crucible phase. This is where all that theoretical toolkit planning meets harsh reality. Imagine a massive, totally unexpected regulatory change hits overnight that could derail the entire operation. Here is the exact chronological playbook for neutralizing that threat. Step 1. Identify the sudden regulatory change using your risk register. You spot the storm forming on the radar. Step 2. Assess the systemic impact. How does this new regulation ripple through our deeply interconnected projects? Who's affected and just how badly? And Step 3. Mitigate across projects. You don't just patch up one affected area. You implement sweeping, coordinated changes to protect the entire architecture. That is how you confidently disarm a massive threat, systematically and precisely.
Let me emphasize a really critical truth here. Proactive risk planning saves millions. These frameworks, the registers, the matrices, the escalation protocols, they are not just bureaucratic chores. They aren't just paperwork you file away to keep upper management happy. No way. They are high-stakes financial lifesavers. By doing the rigorous analytical work up front, you are quite literally protecting the bottom line and ensuring the very survival of the enterprise.
Section 3. Transforming chaos into progress. The ultimate goal.
Up until now, we've talked primarily about surviving threats and minimizing the damage. But the truly elite program managers, they don't just survive the storm, they actually learn how to leverage the chaos. It's all about anticipating uncertainty and turning those potential threats into distinct opportunities. Effective risk management is completely transformative. Think about it. When your competitors are scrambling and panicking because of a sudden supply chain break or a massive regulatory shift, your proactive planning means you already have a strategic pivot locked and loaded. You create incredible strategic advantages out of what would otherwise be total disasters.
Now, doing all of this requires blending analytical rigor with leadership courage. Managing interconnected projects successfully isn't just about the math. Yes, for sure, you absolutely need the cold hard data provided by your probability impact matrix. But acting on that data, standing firm and making sweeping, high-stakes changes across multiple projects while under immense pressure, that requires genuine human bravery. It takes the courage to lead decisively when the path ahead is completely shrouded in uncertainty.
So, why do these concepts matter so much for your own leadership journey? Well, because a robust, carefully engineered risk management strategy anticipates uncertainty before it ever strikes. It prevents a single, isolated failure from cascading into a total systemic collapse. It proactively saves millions of dollars, and ultimately, it transforms absolute, terrifying chaos into steady, controlled progress.
Which leaves us with this final, pretty provocative thought. In your next crisis, will you be a victim of chaos or the architect of your own controlled progress? The analytical tools are right there. The frameworks are proven. The choice of how courageously you use them is entirely up to you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep building that systemic resilience.